So this whole episode, or a lot of this episode, is a response to an article that came out in 2017. And because it's kind of niche, I'm going to read parts of that article here, just to give you some context to what we're talking about. So if you don't read the article, um, you still know what we're talking about. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just parts of it. And then if you do read the article, you can go ahead and skip a couple times. So this is by Brie Code, published March 8th, 2017, and it's entitled Slouching Towards Relevant Video Games. And then the subtitle is People Respond Differently to Stress, says Brie Code, Design for It. And this was published by GamesIndustry.biz. I wrote a thing a while ago about how I love video games, but my friends find video games boring. I made a case that the multitudes of white, masculine gamers who dominate the industry have made experiences that are relevant to them, but not most people. I made the case that life is really difficult, that our world has changed fast, and that what my friends are looking for in art is a relief from the constant overwhelming shock of capitalism and now the looming reality of fascism. I made the case that video games that are about care and characters would be more culturally relevant to people. But I think it's not only for cultural reasons that my friends prefer care to shock. I think there's also an underlying psychological reason why this is so. I think it has something to do with stress reactions, and I think this holds the key to the future of the industry. I want to be very clear that care is not weak, simple, or cute. It doesn't only belong in simple or cute games. Caring for your chosen loved ones and the formation of new alliances are sophisticated actions and can be acts of warfare. It requires bravery to speak up, to reach out, and to build towards something new. Care is stronger than brutality or fear. Care and characters will make games that are both culturally relevant and physiologically stimulating to more people. These are games that will help us understand ourselves and our lives. These are games that will carry us into a more respectful, more respected, and strengthened future. This is where video games can shine not just as bright, but brighter than other media. This is an industry that I want to work in. Question your assumptions about yourself, other people, and games. Get real data. And if you are underrepresented in this industry, look into your own heart. Maybe everything we know is wrong, but you are right. Let's find each other and let's work together. Maybe we're here to take away the boys' games after all. And then I want to read a little bit of kind of the middle of the article where she talks about like the meat of what it is about. The subheading is Revelations. This is midway through the article. When I first read about Tend and Befriend, I suddenly understood myself so much better. Oh my goodness, I thought, this is how I usually react to stress. Most of my friends do too. Most women and many men have this reaction. It's possible it could be our dominant stress response in general. But had you heard of it before? Maybe not. It's barely been studied. It's barely been discussed. It's barely been identified. In 1998, a prominent researcher was given a talk in which he said, "We shocked the animals and of course they all attacked each other." This statement struck some researchers at the UCLA Social Neuroscience Lab as not descriptive of humans, and by early 2000, Dr. Shelley E. Taylor and her colleagues had identified the Tend and Befriend response. Why so late? Blinkered research and their bad samples. And then I'm going to read this last part of the article. So if you want to read the whole thing, the link's in the description. But this is one last part of the article. This is the subheading is, Our Hour Come Around at Last. What is game design missing? I ask this question not in terms of cultural elements, not just in terms of diverse protagonists, not just in terms of references beyond fantasy and sci-fi fiction and modern-day warfare. I ask this question in terms of game mechanics and game systems. I ask this in terms of adrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin, opioids, and other reward systems. I ask in terms of gameplay that helps a wider range of people understand themselves and their responses to stress and to the world. What do we take for granted about playstyle and about player motivation and other frameworks that we use to think about games? Could some of this be wrong or incomplete? So that's a couple paragraphs from the article. hopefully that gives you a gist of the content and tone of the article. I highly suggest you read the article for yourself, the whole thing. But if not, hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of what we're talking about. Okay, back to the podcast. I know that it was written by a professional game developer. I understand that. It reads like someone who has never played a video game before. And she talks about how boring video games are. Like that's like her emotional language. Like her emotional hook is that video games are this one thing, and they're so monotonous and homogenous. Mm-hmm. And I think she worked on Assassin's Creed. I did a little bit of research because I was like, who is this person?
Yeah, she's like a legit person in the industry.
She's worked on Assassin's Creed. But also Assassin's Creed is very generic. So maybe if I worked on Assassin's Creed, I would also be disillusioned by thinking video games are generic, because that's a famously bland and generic franchise. That is like up there with Far Cry and like the Ubisoft open world formula that people complain about.
Far Cry is fun.
What?
Far Cry is fun.
I've played both Far Cry 6, 5 and 6 and 4 and all of the in-between ones. I love Far Cry. But anyways, so that's my negative response to the thing. I just wanted to get out there.
That's okay. I think that's a great welcome to Overthinking Games. This is this is a podcast about what video games can teach us. My name's Katie. I'm a special education teacher, and I am joined by my co-host Seth.
Hi. I was also going to lead us into an intro if you weren't going to.
Seth teaches science, and we've got Dempsey, our negative Nancy, here.
We should get this person on the podcast. I bet they're gettable on the podcast.
I would, maybe. It depends on how mean you are while we talk about her
They have
writing.
a Wikipedia page. They're definitely not going on our podcast.
You never know. What did you tell me? There's like a crazy amount of people who will say yes if you ask them.
Yes. Yep. Okay, anyway, so someone else take it away. I'm going to Google this person.
We are talking about stress responses in video games this week, specifically fight or flight, and another sort of, I guess it's kind of lesser known, I'd never heard of it, a phenomenon called tend and befriend, and how those two different stress responses might change how gamers interact with games or what kind of games they want to play and how people might approach designing games. But before we do that, we need to talk about what we've been playing this week. Seth, would you like to take us away?
Sure. I have a short list. Okay.
Did you make a list?
No. I
was like, you're so prepared.
No. So after our conversation last week, I booted up some Command and Conquer. Because
oh no.
it's my favorite
so
game
cold.
series.
It's so cold.
It was. Listen, it's not. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite game series. It was like $1.25 for each of the games on Steam.
Oh my god.
So I've been playing a lot of Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun, the one from 1999. Came up because I was looking to do
yet?
like, huh?
Were you alive yet when that came out? Or
Yes, I was. Just barely. That's a old one, but I was like, I kind of went to a little bit more of the like sci-fi-esque, and that's one of the more sci-fi-esque ones. I was playing some Balatro this week. I just had a great run today. I just beat Purple Stake with a very fun 100 million hand on Anti-8. That was a fun run. And honestly, that run could have gone maybe better. Hard to tell, because I was trying to get like the tarot cards. It was a tarot card run, and then I got the tarot card that like gives you a legendary Joker, and I was like, well, I'm grabbing that. I don't have all the legendary Jokers yet. It's guaranteed to give you one you don't have, so I was like, okay, I'll complete a collection log slot, and then I won anyway. And then today I was playing some Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. A different Command & Conquer game. But this is cool. Somebody did a mod, because the game has like a campaign where you play as either like the Allies or the Soviets in like a World War II setting. and you duke it out. And I've played the campaign over a dozen times because I've been playing this game my whole life. Somebody wrote a mod that it switches the factions for the campaign, so it's all of the maps that you played during the campaign, but if it was usually like an allied campaign mission, you now play the role of like the Soviets. So it's all the maps that you're used to in the same progression that you're used to, just flipped. And I had so much fun. I was playing it up until like right before we started. And I'll probably be playing some after we get off, because it's just kind of like a twist on the standard formula. Most of the time I feel like with mods and games, people like jack up the intensity and like the difficulty too much. This is like right at the perfect level. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Which Command & Conquer were you playing when we started podcasting? Do you recall?
It was probably Red Alert 2.
Did you buy Red Alert 2 or did you already have it this time?
So last time I was probably playing Red Alert 2 would have been on the Origin store. It just hit the Steam store, which is why I've been replaying it.
Why would you buy it twice? Like, why does it matter where you're playing it on?
Because most of my games are on the Steam store, and if I don't have to open up the Origin store, I don't want to.
Oh, okay. It's not like you can like access mods and stuff through the Origin store and all the
No,
things?
it's no difference. It's just more convenient because the rest of my games
Oh,
are on
okay.
Steam.
Got you.
So
okay,
it was
just curious.
Worth $10 to me to just have it on the Steam store.
Too many clicks.
Yeah, I'm not opening up another platform. Oh, and then I played some RuneScape this week.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Dempsey, you didn't hear about this. Seth committed to a 6-month membership of RuneScape.
I did.
He's got these rules for himself, which you're going to love. He's like, I can only play on my days off. But the joke is that he's got only like 4 weeks of school left, and they're all going to be days off.
Yeah. But listen, the problem is that I play too much RuneScape and I should be doing work. So if I'm off work, it doesn't matter. And I can just play RuneScape.
Mm-hmm. You're like to your girlfriend, like, okay, I'll see you. I'll see you in the fall.
Don't say that, because she's gonna somehow magically think that it's real.
Oh, sorry, I'm just kidding. JK.
Dempsey, what have you been playing this week? Stop doing research.
So it looks like she has like a self-care app that's now defunct and then maybe was like involved in NFTs, which does not make me like this person better. Anyways, sorry. What? Okay.
She's definitely not coming on the show now, Dempsey.
Oh, it's fine. So I have been gone for a long time. I think I have not seen you guys for like 3 weeks, maybe. I saw the eclipse, which was goated. That feels like a really disrespectful way to talk about the eclipse. The eclipse was very powerful, and I'm very happy I went and saw it. I've been playing a lot of games to get footage for. Now that we're doing more TikToks, we're kind of building up our gameplay library. So I've been playing through Celeste again to get the footage. I've been playing some Balatro. I went through a period of like, I don't know how I feel about video games. And then I went back to God of War for some footage, and I decided I'm going to 100% God of War Ragnarok. And that game is really good. I love that game so much. I'm playing on Give Me Balanced. I do not think I want to play on Give Me God of War, especially now that I'm like on all the end game bosses. That just doesn't sound very fun. That like the combat feels so good in that game, and the little like it still has dialogue for when you're walking with your companion and your God of Wisdom you have dangling on your hip. It's really good. I am happy that game is as good as, like, it's very new, but when I finished it, I was like, oh my god, this game is so good, and then I left it for a year, and now I'm coming back to 100% it, and it's very good. I also want 100% Horizon Forbidden West, because I have not finished that game, or at least I want to finish it. I'm trying to
I haven't
go
finished
back
it yet either.
I'm trying to go back to some games that I know I enjoyed and just did not finish them. And so for me, that looks like God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West with the Burning Shores DLC. And I played a bit of Oxenfree. I really liked it for a little bit, and then it got really annoying, and I stopped
What got
playing.
annoying about it?
I think I'm trying to remember what I didn't like about it, because I know there was a point where I was like, I cannot play this right now. I think like the movement is like so tedious,
Slow.
and like how much backtracking you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. I just found that I wasn't
The
really in the
payoff
mood
is
for.
worth it.
Okay, I'll go back to it at some point. Um, but and then some Hollow Knight to get some footage as well. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit like logistical needs gaming for me, which has been pretty fun. I really want to play Dragon's Dogma 2 because I love how it looks when your companion catches you. It just feels so romantic, and I need that kind of tension in my life. But you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
No idea what you're talking about. I
Okay.
just think you're funny.
people will know what I'm talking about. Go look up any Dragon Dogmas 2 gameplay. You can have companions, and if you jump off instead of taking fall damage, your companions will catch you.
And
And
how darling.
I know that alone almost sold me on this $70 game. But I'm moving,
Pend and Befriend.
so I don't hate the idea, and I think it's really important. I just don't like how this person
Well,
talks about it.
She didn't make up the idea. Like science knows about the idea. So that's
Yes,
the good
I don't
thing.
think she represents it. I don't think she represents it well, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
Anyways, so yeah, I think I'm also moving house over this next month. I'm moving my workplace. I'm with the same company, moving locations, but it's with a lot of the same equipment, and so I'm probably not going to start anything new for a while. It'll probably be going back and enjoying things I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire before bed. That game is so good. Slay the Spire is a really good game.
Do you finish a round before you go to bed? Or do you end mid-round?
No, I'll end mid-round and then wake up and have no idea what's happening.
Will you ever win a round that you've stopped midway? No. Okay, I thought it was just me.
No, because I'll have like a system. I'll have like okay, this is going to be a poison-heavy build. Let's just poison and block. That's all we're doing. We're going to poison people and then negate damage and try to keep things going as much as possible. High card round, and then I'll just forget the whole strategy. So no, Slay the Spire has to be done. Yeah. Some news. I know we're not a gaming news podcast, but Slay the Spire, the second trailer popped up and it told us nothing about the game and was just an announcement. Like I'm excited because I like that game, but I think there's a new class or whatever, but not much else information. And then I think Vampire Survivors is going to get officially co-op support as well.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah. So.
Well, that'll be fun. My brother and I will play the heck out of that, I bet.
Yeah, they had I think it was a Nindy showcase for the Nintendo Switch, and it was pretty much useless because the only game that anybody cares about was not announced. So why even put one on?
Oh, Silk Song.
Yeah,
obviously.
So why even put one on? Katie, what have you been playing?
I don't think Silk Song would run on a Switch, is what I think. So I wonder.
No,
go ahead.
They've announced other Switch events. Like I think the first time the first trailer was originally revealed on a Nintendo Switch announcement.
Yeah, but wasn't that like 5 years ago? Back when maybe it could run it?
Yeah, that's
got a point.
Okay. Come on now. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I've been gaming a lot on the weekends and not gaming at all during the week because I've just been really busy. Just a little celebration shout out. I finally got to start my research study for my capstone. Thank you. And that's going to be finished in 2 weeks, in which case I will then get to write the rest of my capstone, like the first 4, it's like the first 5 chapters of a whatever that is, like journal article situation that might get published or something. So that was exciting. I can't wait to be done with that. Can't wait. But what I've been playing has been, let's see, I finished Detroit Become Human. And that took me a while. Like I was in the last 25% for quite a while because things weren't going well in the game for me. Some of my decisions let me tell you what it is in case you don't know. Detroit Become Human is a game where you follow the stories of 3 androids who are on the hunt for freedom, Two of them are on the hunt for freedom, and one of them is on the hunt for androids. And you're playing as all three characters at different points of the story. And the decision trees are incredibly complex, and the outcomes are varied. And I had some bad outcomes that made me deeply distressed in my heart. And so it took me a little while to come back to it because I was so upset. And I was like, I need to go back to this previous chapter and fix it and like make it better. And then I was like, Katie, how far back do you have to go to fix this? Because you don't know where the deciding decision was, where it all went to hell. Like, do I need to go back one chapter? Do I need to go back 4 chapters? What do I have to do to make it go differently? I don't know. So then I told myself, I said, you can play it again when you're finished. You can play it again and you can try to fix it. Just keep going. Like this, there's all kinds of self-talk going on while I'm going through this game to like cope with the stress and the sadness. And I finally made it all the way through and I had very mixed success, but it was such a profound experience. It was one of the most moving video game experiences that I've ever had. And it's one of those games like I am absolutely going to play it again, probably more than once, but not yet. I need a little time. It was so emotional. So, Dempsey and Seth, you need to play it so that we can do our episode with Gamers Drink about Detroit Become Human, because this game needs to be talked about in a fully spoiler zone. It's incredible. It's so good. Okay. And it's pretty short. Like, I took a long time to play it because I have no emotional fortitude, but, you know, if you're good, you can probably get through it pretty quick.
Oh,
yeah, 60% off right now. It's a sign. Okay, very good.
Can we start deducting these as like work expenses?
I think so.
I don't think
are we considered? Can we be considered a nonprofit since we don't make any profit?
It's not what a nonprofit is.
Works.
But a business does not have to make money, though. Like, you do not have to be profitable to have a business. Anyways, we'll talk about
that. We'd have to pay
pod.
taxes. Look at that. Dempsey knows things. Okay, we'll talk about this behind the curtain. Let's see. The other thing, I was playing Balatro, and the other night, I stayed up until 11:30, which is very much past my bedtime, because I finally won my first red deck. I went all the way through. I beat the 8th ante. It took me so long. So then, Seth, when you're talking about getting million-point thingy-mabobbers, I'm like, how, though? Because how, though? Because I was like, I would get to the 7th ante, and I couldn't hit the like 40 or 50,000. The only way I was finally able to do it was I had one of those jokers it was 1.5 times multiplier instead of a plus. And I didn't understand for the longest time because I'm so bad at math. I was like, 1.5 plus 1.5 is nothing. I'm not going to get that one. And then I finally realized it was multiplication. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was when I finally made the leap and I won.
So I should actually have a screenshot of my run. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, you should, because I'm so bad at card games, but I like them so much. So I'm going to keep playing that. My poor brother, I'm using his copy on our family library on Steam. And I haven't asked him because I don't want to know, but I think that I'm probably blocking him from being able to play it because I've got it running on my Steam Deck all the time. Like, no, don't tell me. Just let me keep leeching off of your library. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if I've played anything else. I haven't played any more Baldur's Gate since last week, but I'm going to this weekend. And I don't play Warzone during the week because it's too adrenaline filled, which I'm going to talk about in our topic today. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, what? You're allowed to have rules for your video games, but when I have rules, I get made fun of?
Well, when your rules are conveniently, I can't play on my days off. Oh, whoops, I'm about to be off for 9 weeks.
10 weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, precisely. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. So I guess now's a good time to segue into our topic. So our topic, like I said, it's the stress response. and how it helps us, or how it makes us relate to games, or how it impacts how we relate to games. I found this article, and I'm not really sure how I found it, but it's by a lady called, her name is Brie Code, and she has worked, as Dempsey said, on pretty big titles like, which one was it? Assassin's Creed
Assassin's
Odyssey?
Creed and Child of Light. I don't know which Assassin's Creed it is. It says
I don't
Assassin's
know.
Creed plural. So
Okay.
at the very least, multiple Assassin's Creed titles, and then Child of Light.
Which one is Child of Light? I don't think I know that one.
I have it purchased. It's like a 2D thingy, I think.
Okay, so she's like a legit game developer. She's in the gaming space. And in this article, she talks about, it's called like Slouching Towards Video Game Inclusivity or something like that. And she talks about how games are designed to kind of feed our fight or flight reward system. So when we have adrenaline, that causes our fight or flight response when we're faced with stress, and then or we have the fight or flight response, which causes adrenaline to come out, and then it also is then like followed by dopamine, and our brains really like dopamine, and so that makes it really fun for us and really rewarding. And her point was that there is another kind of stress response, which is called tend and befriend. And that is where instead of adrenaline being released, oxytocin is being released, which is your love hormone. And following the oxytocin, your body releases opioids, which make you feel good. And so then you feel rewarded that way. So these two different stress responses both help you cope with stress and be able to be like fearless in the face of danger. The difference with the tend and befriend is that with that oxytocin release, you also then look for like, she described it as like looking for young to defend or like protecting your community, and then befriending, which is looking for allies, reaching out to community for support and that sort of thing. And so she was saying that she and her friends, I thought it was kind of casually written for such a science-y sounding article, but she's saying basically she and her friends found the high adrenaline games really boring, and games that allowed them to tend and befriend to be really interesting and rewarding. And so her article kind of dives into that. So that's what we're talking about this week. Yeah. So you guys both read the article. What were your kind of initial thoughts on it?
So I talked to Katie a little bit about this earlier. I think I have a few main points I want to make. I guess one thing is I am sort of the demographic being targeted by the article. So I felt targeted as I was reading.
Oh no.
Which is not like a bad thing, I guess. But I was like, I don't connect with the idea she's making because like I like I like the kind of games that she's like denouncing. But then again, I'm also of the demographic that she is commenting on. So I don't really have a lot of room to speak on said matter.
You do.
Well, like, you know, I like Vampire Survivors. I like the fact that it's like sort of loosely gambling based and it's flashy, and I like the flashing lights. You know, I like deck builder card games, and I like the sort of like randomization aspect of it. I like shooty fighty games. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's the kind of games I enjoy. So I was like, I'm not the target audience for this piece in a few different ways. That being said as well, this is a general complaint of mine. But I just don't like when things are addressed very, very like black and white, and things are also addressed as very, very like definitive. Like, this is the way that things are, and this is like the dichotomy that I'm creating, and like everything sort of falls into this dichotomy. And it felt like this article was doing a little bit of that. That's my sort of like criticism about the article. But I do get what she's saying, and I think there's definitely as we've talked about before, like the idea of like the cozy game space. And it's clear that there's like a demographic for it. It's not my demographic, but it's very clear that the demographic exists. And people are creating games for those people who really enjoy them. And I know Dempsey is one of those people who likes the cozy game demographic. A few of his favorite games he's mentioned are from there. So Dempsey, what do you think?
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think adrenaline can be boring. I think by definition, if you are experiencing adrenaline, it's impossible to be bored physiologically. So like you can, like something can be made to elicit an adrenaline response and fail to do so. Like it's a horror movie that is not creating an adrenaline response in you and therefore it's boring. But like adrenaline itself physiologically cannot be boring. So like,
That's fair.
I think like, so I think it's not that this person is getting the adrenaline response and finding that boring. It's that they are not connecting with the game enough to get that response. So I think that's one of the things I want to say first, because like it is physiologically impossible to think adrenaline is boring. The whole point of adrenaline is to be hyper aware and move and to not be bored. So
if I can just comment on that, I think I completely agree with you. I'm wondering if the context, because I went real nerdy with this, you guys. I read some psychological like journals. They're peer reviewed, and had to use my WGU login to get access. But so kind of what I was reading was that it's kind of a spectrum, but also that like if you are more tend and befriend as your stress response, then instead of adrenaline releasing, more so you have that oxytocin releasing. But if you're playing a game, like you're saying, you're playing a game and it's not eliciting that response that's going to lead to that reward chemical being released, then you would be bored. So I think maybe it could be that they're playing like Warzone and they're not having an adrenaline rush and they're not having that dopamine flood because that's not how they respond.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how well so I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So also, they are not mutually exclusive experiences. And a lot of my favorite games understand that well. So like The Last of Us has moments of extraordinary adrenaline and also is an inherently protective game filled with incredibly tender, soft moments. And it's because those two responses, like, they're not mutually exclusive. And they're also not as gendered as a lot of the conversation is. Like the difference between individuals is way greater than the difference between genders. So like,
yes, absolutely.
So like the responses are like, if you're a scientist, like statistically significant, yes, but like as an individual, you don't know if that will be significant to you because the difference is it's significant if you're studying statistics professionally, but it's not really that big of a difference. So it's not like and also like if you are like fight or flight is not instead of tend and befriend. If you are in immediate danger, everyone will want to self-preservation first. Tend and befriend seems to be more about like larger, more sustained stress cues where you can get to your social group and where you have time to make sure that everybody's okay, which obviously is very healthy and very useful in games. Because you have things that are putting pressure on you and then tasks. And if those tasks are couched emotionally and taking care of people, I can see why that's extraordinarily interesting. So like, this is like she presents it as this weird dichotomy. And I don't think that's like real or how people experience video games. Like I think about like, so I've been playing like God of War Ragnarok, and that's like about a dad trying to connect with both his son and also like peers who are emotionally in the same place as him having issues with their kids. And it's extraordinarily protective and tender and also has adrenaline. So I think it's doing both of those things well. So like it's a weird to make it a dichotomy. I think that's very strange. I also think that, so I work in marketing professionally. And I never take people that serious when they connect art and biology, like art and physiological responses. Because if it was really that clear cut, like this art elicit this response, marketing campaigns and movies would have 100% success rate. Like, if there was really like a science to why things make you feel the way they were, that was reliable and that like meant something that we can use to be as successful as this article is written to have you believe, every piece of art would always hit those cues to elicit those emotional responses and get those, what they want from their people. And obviously it's the exact opposite. Like, very few pieces of media are made that well to elicit the exact emotional, much less physiological response from the people that they want to. So like sure, that's like an aim that people have, and it's like Resident Evil is very successful at getting my adrenaline because it's a well-made horror game, but there's a lot of horror games that I do not hear about because they are bad, because people play them and choose not to talk about them because they don't do that. And so I think we should always be very careful when people are like, this media elicits this psychological or physiological response, because if that was true, we would know how to make things better, and it would be easier to make incredible things, and it's not.
Right. It's true. I think it's easy to want to try to boil it down into a binary.
Yeah. Yes. So there's all of that. I think a couple things, however. So I think the context of when this was written is really important. And this was written in 2017. And that
last year.
Last year, 2017. And that is before a lot of really good cozy indies hit it mainstream.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I think Stardew might have been out by then.
I'll check.
But it started 2016, I think. Anyways.
Yeah.
But
2016.
Yeah. So I think this was I think this article would do less, it would be less needed now, because there is an entire large part of the industry that's built around non-violent cozy games, and maybe in 2017 that wasn't there as much. I was not gaming then, so I don't really have the emotional connection to what people were feeling about video games at that time. Anyways, so I think that might have been part of the frustration that she felt at the time when she wrote this, because now I can point to literally every game that I enjoy is about tending and befriending. Other than Slay the Spire and Balatro and things like that. But that's the whole idea behind Celeste, behind Undertale, behind Florence. That's so many games and all. Anyways, so yeah, so those are all my feelings. I think that it was written with highly emotional language, but the idea of tend and befriend, I think when you look at the first God of War game, which came out a year after this article, so God of War 2018, the pathos that gave that character is considered a big step in video game narrative, and also Red Dead, I think also in 2018, and the pathos and tenderness that game gave Arthur Morgan, and the fact that you were looking after this younger man and trying to make sure his family was okay. And anyways, so she has a point. And a lot of what she says makes sense, and it is really important to include that kind of storytelling in video games. I just think it's there, and there's not this war against it. Anyways, that's my rant.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm with you with that. I have to admit, I hadn't taken note of the publication year. Also, 2017 literally does feel like last year to me. That's the year I got married, and I only got married last year, right? Okay.
I graduated high school, so that feels like a long time ago to me, now that I'm finished college and have an adult job.
Okay, child.
I'm wearing a Pokemon t-shirt right now.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Which, is Pokemon not a tend and befriend a game?
Well, I mean, you do send animals to fight each other, so...
Yeah, but nobody dies.
And I think the appeal is that you befriend them. It's the difference between Pokemon and Power World.
Well, yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah, I think as I was looking at just the first to talk about the year thing, I'm wondering also if I wasn't really paying attention to games at this time, but I know that like Last of Us came out in 2014, right?
2013.
2013. Okay. But then like I know 2017 we had really good games come out. It was a very good year for gaming. But I feel like kind of all in that kind of time games started to explore what they could do narratively more so than what they could do mechanically in a
Yeah,
way that
I agree.
hadn't really been done before. I mean, sure, you had like Gears of War with some very moving moments in its campaign, but it was primarily a game where you could chainsaw people in half. Right? So, and I loved that game. But yeah, I think that as we started to move on from straight mechanics based gaming to more like exploring narrative, I think that more that Tend and Befriend side has come in naturally because we want stories that are well rounded and nuanced and make us feel something. Unless you're Seth, then you just want uh Command and Conquer and RuneScape grinding, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that.
It's like I'm gaming in 2003. I'm playing Command and Conquer
to be fair,
and RuneScape.
Elden Ring has some very cool and like emotional lore.
Yeah.
Didn't you say that, Dempsey, didn't you say that there's no story in Elden Ring?
Yeah, but like that one snake that hates his daughter, and then you have to like defend, you have to like go beat up an abusive dad. Like that's so cool. Anyways, sorry. You know what I'm talking about, right? The snake, the big snake that hates his daughter. Yeah, that's like a cool story with like an emotional hook.
Huh.
All right, well, Elden Ring lore is for a different day, but
yeah, fairness. That's your solo episode, Seth.
It's just going to be me for a full hour talking about Elden Ring lore.
Now, we'll get Brett from Lord to Death on here and the two of you can geek out together.
Nope, just me.
Okay, sorry.
Solo
Monologue.
episode, it's just me talking about Elden Ring.
Katie, now that I've like complained about this article, what was it about it that connected with you enough to want to do an episode on it?
For a couple of reasons. I thought that it was really interesting to understand why, maybe not, I mean, not understand completely, but to start to get a picture for why some people might gravitate towards the more, we'll call them the cozy genre versus like the more action genre. And especially because like cozy games tend to be very female coded, and like try to be like cutesy and try to draw that side of the gaming population. And for me, like I've never been drawn to games like that. I will play games like that for a very short but intense period of time. Like I put 127 hours into Planet Zoo over the space of like 3 weeks, and I haven't touched it since.
But Planet Zoo wasn't like emotion. Well, I guess Tend and Befriend isn't like you're trying to make
building,
the animals,
taking care of the animals, wanting to make something beautiful, trying to build a system that could support it. Like I feel like sim games definitely fall into that. Because you're trying to build something more so.
Sure.
But like Stardew Valley, people say it's so relaxing. I'm like, are you out of your minds? Is the most stressful game I've probably ever played. Like, I don't play Stardew Valley and think, oh, I'm just going to putter around, and then when it gets late, I guess I'll go to bed, and whatever I haven't done, I'll do tomorrow. I'm like, no, I have to do all the things. I don't have enough time. This is too much like real life. And I don't like it at all. Animal Crossing, I played obsessively for about 2 weeks, and I've never touched it again. I got really bored with it. So I like the idea of these games, but they never really click for me. But on the other hand, so I guess I thought it was interesting because I just thought about myself a lot. I really love high adrenaline, high dopamine games like Warzone. I love when I was in high school, or like maybe even before high school, I played Guild Wars. Do you guys remember Guild Wars? Oh my God. It was I think it came out in 2010 2002 or 2006, I can't remember. And it was a MMO that you didn't have to pay a monthly subscription for. So my whole family played it and we would play together. And we would go and we would do like the player versus environment, like questing missions. And that was fun if I played with my family, but I would never be interested in doing that by myself. I got bored by myself. But I loved the guild versus guild, which was like the really competitive player versus player, working with a team. This was back in the days. You guys are too young to know this probably, but we used to use this thing called TeamSpeak, and it was on our computers. Huh?
I know TeamSpeak.
Do you?
It's like Discord, but for old people.
Yeah, it was like Discord before there was Discord. And it was the clunkiest. Oh my God. We would spend hours trying to coordinate, trying to get everybody in the same lobby. And then we would like strategize. And we would strategize for literal hours before we'd ever play a match. And that community was why it was so much fun. Because I really, really like kicking ass with other people. Like that is my favorite thing. And that's the exact same thing that I have in Warzone. I love Warzone when I have my squad. I could play Warzone every day for the rest of my life, probably, as long as I have people that I like in real life to play with. But if I'm playing, go ahead. If I'm playing by myself, I get super, super bored. So I'm finding like reading that article about Tend and Befriend and the fight or flight, I was like, okay, I'm seeing in myself like this mixture that I really crave the high adrenaline, high dopamine experience, but it has to be in the context of being with people that I like and care about. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I also think another thing that's interesting that I would love to have this person on the podcast. Her name is Brie something? Brie
Code.
No. Is it Brie Code? I didn't know if that was like a moniker because she's a coder. But
I don't know, but that's what that's what the author's name is.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll put a little thing at the beginning of this podcast that tells people to read the article before they listen to the podcast.
Hey, by the way, we talk about this article in depth, and you haven't read it, so
yeah, it's the worst idea. Anyways,
rude.
No, it's a
wow.
Oh my God, that's
you
not what I meant.
can come up with the next topic.
Oh my goodness, that's not what
crazy.
I meant. No, it was mostly me because Katie didn't say, let's talk about this article. Katie said, let's talk about Tend and Befriend. Here's an article that explores the idea.
Yeah.
And instead of being like a reasonable person, it's like, okay, let's talk about Tend and Befriend. I read the specific article and was like, no, I am going to talk about this article. So yeah, Katie has had a much more reasonable plan, and I made it horrible. But so I wonder, like, cozy narrative and cozy mechanics, I do not think are the same thing. So like God of War and Last of Us, for example, have cozy parts of their narrative, but violence is the only way you can interact with the environment. So they're not cozy games, even though they do give you that protective relationship building feeling, which I think goes hand in hand with, and then like there's games that have like, I don't know if cozy is the right word, but like slower and methodical gameplay, like Civ, which is kind of a management sim game, but is about war and conflict. And like it's about relationships, but like geopolitical and like strategic relationships. Or like Cult of the Lamb, where you are a cult leader, but it's very violent. And so like, or like to some extent, like survival games have like slower crafting mechanics, but also it's like depressing, and like Don't Starve or The Long Dark have like the mechanics of a cozy game, like crafting, resource management, things like that. But I don't think anybody would consider The Long Dark to be a cozy game. So like in this conversation about like how Tend and Befriend impacts video games and how that's, because we did an episode about violence as well. And so I wonder do you feel coziness in a game more when it's connected? And then some I think are agnostic. Like, I think Outer Wilds would be kind of agnostic because you're just exploring and you're not necessarily, it's the most beautiful game ever made. Everyone needs to play this game. But it's the most important video game ever made. but you're not necessarily building long-term relationships with people or protecting anybody. You're discovering why the universe exists and where your place in the universe is, and then you take that into your real life and it changes your whole entire life.
I think that kind of counts though, because if you look at when I'm sorry, Seth, you never get to talk.
I'm fine.
When you look at what from Brie Code's article, she talks about this game that she's building that's about self-care and doing things that are like kind of meditative that bring comfort. I think, or like self-reflection. I think that with Outer Wilds, like you talk a lot about like that self-reflection piece and kind of that exploring your existence in the world. And I think that counts. I do.
Sure. Yeah. And so there's games like Melatonin is like a cozy game, but there's also like, which is a rhythm game, but there's also rhythm combat games. And so like the mechanics can either be cozy or violent depending on what narrative wrapping you put around it. And so I think a more interesting question than like, why are so many games violent? Everyone who wants adrenaline is just shallow and dumb. I think a more interesting...
Hi, it's me.
Which is what the article is saying. I think a more interesting question is like, what mechanics or what narrative elements lean into Tend and Befriend? And like, so like when you play a cozy game, if the mechanics are not cozy, but the narrative is, do you still feel that level of comfort and coziness? Or is it like the opposite, where like, no matter how violent and horrible the world is, as long as the mechanics are cozy, what do you connect with more? Or like what, where does Tend and Befriend start and end with mechanics versus narrative?
Okay, so I'm butting in now because I haven't talked in a while.
I have so much to say.
I think part of the false dichotomy here is the idea that like games have to be like stressful, which seems like an odd.
Yes, games do not have to be stressful. Yes,
that like also that because I'm playing a game that includes violence, that it is stressful, which is not the case.
Yes, I agree.
And so I think even if you were looking at a game like Outer Wilds or Stardew Valley or whatever, like Stardew Valley is stressful, but it's because I make it stressful because I'm like obsessed with like efficiency.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if Outer Wilds is stressful in the way that like my job is stressful or the way that like being in a violent situation is stressful. So I don't even know if like applying the idea of like, is this a Tend or Befriend or a Fight and Flight situation? Because I'm like, it's not really either of those. Like I'm sitting down to play Command and Conquer, not to get stressed. Like, Vampire Survivors is, I think, a great example of like I'm stressed while playing Vampire Survivors, and then it starts shooting out ribbons and bright lights, and I'm like, let's go! Like that's 100%.
Yeah, that is adrenaline and dopamine. Yes,
that's adrenaline and dopamine. But like Command and Conquer for me is not like adrenaline and dopamine. I'm like playing that game because I enjoy like the strategy game flow, like flow state where like I'm managing like multiple fronts, and like I guess that's stressful in a way, but like I would not categorize, I guess it's fight. It's a game about combat. But like it's not fight in, I think, fight or flight in the way we would usually think about it, and it's not really like Tend and Befriend. It's like I'm just experiencing like flow state.
Right.
But it's like brought on by stress, but it's not really stress. It's like the desire to succeed.
I feel like it's not that much different from Planet Zoo. The only difference is the wrapping. Like you have to be strategic in like any kind of like strategic like building game, something like that. Like you are encountering problems and trying to solve them and trying to like build whatever it is that you're trying to build.
I want to separate like the idea that like not all games are stressful, and obviously we had talked about like people experience things differently. But like there's plenty of games that I experience without stress. And I think there's plenty of cozy games that I might experience with stress. Like Stardew Valley for me is a very stressful game because I'm very concerned about like the efficiency of my farm. Despite the fact that I know that there's no need to be and there's no consequence. I'm like, things need to be planted at exact times and dates. And like, if I'm not using all of my run energy at the end of every day, like I've wasted ability.
We're the same person when it comes to this.
Or even, I've talked about this before, which is like Pikmin, which I think is traditionally like a very fun.
That's a chill game. That's like a cozy game.
Is absolutely not chill for me because the sound of Pikmin dying is very stressful to me. To the point that I'm like so conflict avoidant that like I don't play Pikmin because it like physically stresses me out.
Which is so funny because you're not conflict avoidant in other games, but in that setting, it does stress you out.
I'm like conflict avoidant as a person. So, but like I can't get over when Pikmin die. It makes me feel sad, and then I can't play Pikmin. And it's like it's a fairly cozy game, all things considered. You're just kind of like raising Pikmin and finding things, and occasionally you fight stuff. I just can't get over the fighting stuff. Makes me feel bad. So I don't know what like the grand picture of this is, but yeah, I just don't want us to set the like games have to be stressful. Therefore, what's the stress response that results from it? Because Tend to Befriend is a stress response, so I don't think it even like applies to some of these games.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah. I think when I think about like these two different approaches, I guess, I kind of think of, I'm an English teacher, so I think of English teacher things. I think of the hero's journey, which is sort of your classic like Hercules saga where the hero has to shake off any relationships and like people who are like loving somebody or being connected to somebody makes them weaker, and they are the strongest when they're by themselves. At the end of the day, like they might get some help along the way, but at the end of the day, they have to fight the bad guy by themselves. And you see it all the time in all kinds of movies and books and everything. Like it's a very, very well used story structure. But you also have the heroine's journey, which is based off of the story of Demeter in Greek mythology. And basically when her daughter Persephone, let me see if I get this wrong. You can send us a mean email if you want to. It doesn't have to be mean though, if I get this wrong. But her daughter Persephone gets kidnapped down to the underworld, and Demeter has to abdicate her place in the like heavens or whatever and go down to earth and try to get her daughter back. And so she leaves this place of power, goes down to the earth where she has nothing. And the heroine's journey always follows this like abdication of safety, and then the heroine starts to gather allies to herself. And the moral is pretty much always like stronger together. And so like the hero's journey is like, I have to do this by myself. And the heroine's journey is like me and my friends. So like Harry Potter is a classic heroine's journey. He is always stronger with his friends. I haven't read the last book, so maybe not, but leading up to it anyway, it does follow that kind of structure. And so I think when I think of like fight or flight versus tend to befriend, it kind of slots into those two categories for me with storytelling. So storytelling that incorporates more like little help from my friends situation automatically starts to feel more tender to me and more like nurturing, even if it's not a nurturing game at all. So like
Baldur's Gate, like how like it's like that whole game is built around relationships.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's like your hack and slashy sort of game, but you're nothing without your friends. You have to have people around you.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm the alpha. I don't need friends.
That was like actual education. Katie like actually.
Yeah, no, that was like an actual lesson that we just sat
okay.
It's not bad.
Well, so we got to wrap this up soon. I think this is a fascinating topic. I think it's a really important way to think about video games. There was also another list, or there's also another article that was basically a list of games that play into Tend to Befriend. And I have not played all the games on that list, but some of the games I don't know if they do. I think they're just cozy. But it's, I mean, these labels are not exhaustive or
See our episode about
con-
genre if you'd like to know how much genre doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah. But anyways, so I think my final thought is like, if you want to play video games and you don't like adrenaline in stressful situations and want to play games that reward, tend, and befriend tendencies, video games are for you. Like, you don't have to not like video games. I think that's one of the the author's whole thing about like, my friends don't like video games and I don't like video games and I make video games for people who don't like video games. Like, what are you talking about? What, like, video, there's absolutely space for people who like all kinds of games. I like Florence and Celeste and like all my favorite games, like the beginner's guide. It like what are you talking about? What? Anyways, I think there is, if you like tend and befriend games and games that rely more on, like, there is an infinite amount of games that are incredible and cater to that kind of experience.
And I just wanted to do a shout out for Gamers Drink because I had been talking to him on TikTok about this, because he was talking about how Elden Ring is a very relaxing game for him. And somebody did a stitch to one of his TikToks saying, like, how do you play Elden Ring and be relaxed? And I talked to him about it and I showed him the article as well. And he said, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense to me. Maybe that's why when I play that game, I don't feel adrenaline. I don't feel stressed out. I feel relaxed. Like, I'm just here for it and I don't get stressed out. He's like, I think that I have more of that response to that kind of stress. And so that's why Elden Ring can be like a chill game for me. So I thought that was an interesting perspective as well. Like, you don't have to play, like, for me, I don't like the cozy games very much, but I love games that allow me to kick ass with people that I care about. And that fills that need for me. So I think that, like, whatever you like, and it's okay. And if you don't like video games, that's okay too. You don't have to play them.
Seth, do you have any closing thoughts before we end here?
I just want to reiterate my idea about flow state. I think there's definitely something to be said about, like, what stresses, and I think it's going off what Katie just said. The idea of, like, why I like Elden Ring and why I also don't get stressed while playing Elden Ring most of the time is because it puts me in that flow state. Like, and it's mostly, like, for me, the time in between the bosses in Elden Ring is all flow state. And I think that's the interesting thing about the Souls games is it's really like the time in between the bosses really feels like flow state. And the bosses really exist to interrupt that experience, show you something new, give you a new experience. And really, I mean, it makes me angry sometimes. But that's part of the, like, hey, my flow state's now been disrupted, and, like, what's that experience like? So for me, being in that flow state is the kind of games that I enjoy. And I think that's separate from or maybe it plays into, sometimes it's separate from the, like, stress response.
Okay. Well, very good, guys. Thank you. Thanks for listening. This has been Overthinking Games, a podcast about what video games can teach us. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. If you want to send us an email, our email is in the show notes. We'd love to hear from you. Do you think that you have a fight or flight response, or more tend or befriend, or a bit of both? What kind of games do you find rewarding? Let us know. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on TikTok. We're making TikToks pretty frequently, so you can check us out there. It makes us feel really good when people watch our TikToks.
And comment.
And comment. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye. Get some sleep tonight.